Has failure gone to your head? Has failure gone to your head? Are you content with failure? You know, the good sales trainer and author Tom Hopkins said it this way. He said the single most important ingredient between champion achievers and average people is their ability to handle rejection and failure. You're not going to be remembered. You're not going to be remembered by how few times you failed, but rather how often you succeeded. And there's a common thread that runs through successful people. Here it is. They're beaten over the head. They're knocked down. They're vilified. And for years they get nowhere. But every time they're knocked down, they stand back up. You can't destroy these kind of people. You see, the choice of giving up or going on is a defining moment in your life. You know, 1 year from now, 365 days from now, you're going to have some defining moments. And those defining moments are going to be opportunities to go on or go higher, or simply to quit too soon. Your success will be measured by your willingness to keep on trying. Now, there was a little Canadian bird who usually flew south for the winter. But it decided this year it was not going to fly south for the winter like the rest of his bird friends. It was going to nestle in right where it was for the winter and not expend all that energy or take all that risk. So all the other birds went, and the little bird waved them off and nestled into its little nest. But a few days later, the weather took a turn for the worse and became very cold. The little bird started to get bothered and started to think about all its friends that were probably sunning themselves in Mexico right now. So eventually he decided that he could go south after all, and he took off. But only a few hours into his flight, the weather got much, much worse. It began to rain heavily, and because he was flying so high, the rain turned to ice on his wings. It began to freeze to death. He couldn't continue to fly, and eventually he plummeted and crashed into the middle of a barnyard in the countryside. The bird was gasping its last breath, wishing it had gone to Florida or Mexico or someplace south in the first place, when suddenly the barnyard cow came over to it. He looked down and did an enormous poop right on the bird. The bird thought to itself, "This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm dying. It's my final moments on earth. And now to add insult to injury, this cow has pooped on me." So it laid back, ready to die. But after a while, he began to realize that the poop was kind of warming. He began to get the feeling back in his wings, and his body began to thaw out. Suddenly, the bird realized, I'm not going to die. I'm going to live. It began to get excited. Its wings started to flap. It began to sing. It began to chirp. And all this singing and chirping alerted the attention of the barnyard cat. The cat sauntered over to the bird, picked up the bird, began to scrape the poop off of him. And when the cat had cleaned the little bird up, he ate him. End of story. But there's 3 morals to this story. Number 1, not everyone who poops on you is your enemy. Number 2, not everyone who scrapes it off is your friend. And 3, if someone poops on you, keep your mouth shut. Now, some people, maybe you're still complaining about the time when you were pooped on by others. Maybe it was an event that took many, many years ago, and you still haven't gotten over it. if this is you, it's time to get up and get over it and head towards that place. Yes, head towards that place where you were going when you got pooped on by somebody else. I'll put it this way. It's time this weekend to wipe yourself off and go on. Have the courage to live. Anybody can quit. Don't let failures go to your head.